So it is hot outside. I am staying at a hotel in Phuket, Thailand, right next to a big road where there are cars constantly coming and going. And I see that across the street there is a gym. So I think, hey, I'm on vacation. Let's go. I'm gonna go check out this gym. It looks fancy and it's pretty cheap to have a 1 day pass. So I walk across the big street. I enter the gym, give them my information. I get a workout, a daily pass. And when I go in, I am not expecting what I see, which is in Thailand, okay? In Thailand, Phuket. If you've been there, you maybe know what I'm talking about. A bunch of these big white dudes, like bodybuilder dudes. I walk in and I hear a lot of Russian, a little bit of native English speakers speaking English, but mostly Russian. So I see these big dudes with their muscle shirts on, their muscles are bulging, they're huffing and pulling these big weights. I see some guy doing some animal movements in the corner. I see some woman in tight clothing on the Stairmaster. And ooh, because I don't go to the gym very much, even though I am a trainer and I have my certification and I've been doing this for 5 years, I felt 4 years at the time, I felt a little bit intimidated. There's a sense of like, okay, what's the culture I just stepped into? It was almost laughable though, because there was like the typical like dudes that are huge, like giving each other fist pumps. And I always think that these kinds of places can be an outlet for, I think we're all a little bit queer. I'll just say that. And so I did my workout. I had a great workout. And I just noticed when I left there, I was a little bit intimidated, slightly insecure, even with all the work that I've done on myself. So I'm saying something. And like, I just walked out of there with a funny experience to talk about, which I am doing right now. So, do you even lift, bro? I want to talk about the gym today because I know that it is such a big part of fitness, and fitness is one aspect of health, and movement, exercise is such a big aspect of health. It's not everything, but it's one slice of the pie. And if you are looking to move more, a lot of the times people think, oh, I gotta go to the gym. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But the statistics, especially for women, are pretty staggering, pretty stunning. And I want to give you some assurance on why that is so, and then give you some tips on how you can approach this. Gyms always feel to me like playgrounds. One of my favorite things to do is probably from my upbringing. When I was a kid, we traveled around the states to different churches and we stayed. My favorite thing to do was to stay in hotels. It just felt fun and exciting. I got the TV and the beds to jump on and breakfast that you could, like a buffet breakfast, what's not to love, especially as a little kid. Sometimes there was a pool and that was even better. So I still get excited about hotels. I know that's a little bit weird, but I love staying in hotels, especially if they have a gym. Like, you got me. If they got a gym, even if it's rinky dinky tiny gym, I'm game. So that's usually when I work out at the gym. I have had times in my life where I've had a gym membership and made friends with the trainers and met some cool people there. But right now, I mostly work out at home. But I do know that a lot of people enjoy working out at the gym, or maybe feel like they want to, but they're not sure. And so I want to give you, whether you go to the gym or you are contemplating joining a gym, here are some background, some information so that you can go locked and loaded, even if you walk into a random gym in Phuket and see a bunch of huge Russian bodybuilders. So let's go way back to where gym started. Gymnasium is the Greek word. It has to do with the word nude. And if you know a little bit of Greek history, people trained in the nude, and it was for men. Think about the Olympics originally. They started in Greece, and that's the vibe. Training naked. Do with that in your mind what you would like. All right, a bunch of body parts, being thrown around naked. Okay, interesting. I told you that it sounds very queer. Around 1800s, gym spaces opened in Europe, at least as we know it, and I'm not sure about Asia. I didn't find information about the kind of gyms as we know it, modern day. I imagine movement spaces were different, not so much focused on machines and training in the way that we know it today on the in the Asian side or African side or other continents. So this is very Eurocentric to make that clear. But around 1800s, gym spaces opened in Europe, and I think the first one was in Denmark and then Germany, and they were only for men. In the mid 1800s, the first YMCA in America opened. Then other gyms started popping up, but they were only for men. Yeah, seeing a theme here. In the 1900s, Pilates, the first Pilates studio by Joseph Pilates. He has an interesting story you could check out. He grew up with some chronic health issues and found Pilates to be helpful for him, and people still do it today. A bar studio opened, which was more specifically for women in the 1900s, early 1900s. In 1965, the first Gold's Gym was open, specifically for bodybuilding. You've probably seen a Gold Gym or are familiar with it. It kind of gives the vibes of that gym, Crater Gym, I think, in Love Lies Bleeding. That kind of vibe, like heavy machines, a little quiet, people just grunting and pushing. Lucille Roberts opened the first women-only gym in 1969. And going a little bit back in the early 1900s, women were encouraged to exercise at home so they wouldn't be seen sweating because it was considered inappropriate. Blech. And then in like the 1920s, a little bit later on, even when they worked out in like dresses and skirts. So they weren't wearing pants to work out until later on. And then you think about, the 80s, 70s, 80s, jazzercise opened up, aerobics, the Thigh Master, those where exercise was a little bit more targeted to women. It was seen to be, oh, we can make more money off of this. And there was also a push, especially in like bodybuilding gyms, to have a women's side and a men's side. And it was kind of like, clothing or children's toys. We group them into blue and pink, or boys' toys and girls' toys, which I think is kind of ridiculous because I, as a little girl, I liked boys' toys a lot more, and I felt a lot of shame around that. And some boys like girls' toys more, and it's just a way to market and get more money. And it's similar in the fitness world, because even though biologically, of course, and hormonally, and there's also trans men and women and people who transition. So there's all different. There's no two categories. There's not just two categories. And although there are differences, our muscles are the same. Our bodies, in terms of building muscle and fitness and mechanics and physics, work a lot in similar ways. So it's kind of just like a boy can wear pink, a girl can wear blue, right? So it was kind of to get more women into the gym. Hey, we have a space just for you, and you can do these exercises. And it's interesting how much that has persisted. So just another little story. Recently, around Christmas time, a couple times, I felt like I wanted to try a gym. It was cold outside and I felt like running, but I didn't really want to run outside. So I was like, I want to check out some gyms in my local area. And I found one, and it's great. It's a good place by my house. But it was interesting because I noticed, even in this place in Madison where I live, which is pretty progressive, pretty liberal, pretty queer, pretty blue, even in a place like Madison, and especially the neighborhood that I live on on the east side, if you're familiar with Madison, I live in a cool neighborhood in Madison. Yeah, even in this area, I noticed that there was a striation between what the guys were doing and what the girls were doing predominantly. So the men were more the men were, or people who appeared more masculine, were in the heavy weight section and doing these like big barbell lifts. And then in another section of the gym, it was predominantly women and they were doing more like stretching and body weight stuff, some heavier stuff. But I was surprised by how much of a difference, like there was the men's section almost and the women's section. And of course, that was just one isolated incident. I'm not trying to make a big conclusion out of my one experience at that gym, but it still persists, is my point, that these gender divides, like you might often see men lifting heavy and women doing cardio, for example. And in truth, all of it is important for all of us. We need a balance of all of that. But that's a different topic that we won't get into today. I want to give you some statistics because this points out the reality of how people feel about the gym, considering the history of the gym all the way from the Greeks to now, especially if you live in America. I'm speaking as an American right now, someone who lives in America and has also seen other gyms around the world. But obviously, about half of gym goers report feeling intimidated by the gym. So about half, even if they do have a membership, there's like some level of intimidation. And 2/3, 2 out of 3 people who have a gym membership don't even use their membership at all. So of course, around January, the gym memberships peak, and I've done some episodes on New Year's and resolutions that you can go back, look at old late December, early January episodes, and you can get a piece of that around resolutions and changes and New Year's. But for women specifically, and this is what I want to talk about, and if you are a woman listening to this, you might feel validated, and if you are a man listening to this, take some responsibility for, trying to make these spaces more welcoming, because it's not on the victim to change, although that usually is what happens. It's not on the victim to change things. It's on the people who are perpetrating the harm to change. Always, always, always. So for women, about half, like a little more than half, I think the exact number was 56%. About half of women report being harassed in the gym. And by harassment, that means like unwelcome comments or stares or, verbal harassment, even physical harassment. Half. That's a lot. And that's what they report. Okay. So it could be higher than that. That's about 3 times as much as men report being harassed in the gym. 76%. So we're going for 3 out of 4 women have felt uncomfortable in the gym or while exercising in public, like they're being stared at. So they feel like they're being objectified when they're moving. I can definitely relate to that. I've definitely felt that way. And 44%, almost half of women in this study have cut their workouts short because they were receiving unwanted attention, most likely by males, but it wasn't clear. 44%, that means they went to the gym, they had a plan, they were planning maybe to be there for an hour, let's say, for example, and they cut it short because somewhere along in that hour, someone was giving them attention that was making them uncomfortable. So they decided to cut their workout short because of someone else's bad behavior. Like, what the fuck? That's so frustrating, to use a light word. And about 1 in 3 women won't join a gym at all because they're intimidated by it. And this is, of course, people exercise outside of gyms, and not everyone uses the gym. A lot of times, women predominantly make up fitness classes. 76% are about 3 in 4 members of classes, group fitness classes are women, and there's a reason for that, I believe. There's solidarity in being with other women. There's solidarity and more comfort in doing the same things as someone else at the same time. And I'm sure that's a huge reason why, I was a coach in a group fitness setting. I've done it before. There's a huge reason that I saw mostly women members than male members. I think there's also a sense of men being like, I want to do it myself. I don't want to be told what to do. There's different factors, and I won't go into, that's all my suppositions. I don't have studies for that, so I won't go into that right now. But no wonder that we feel better doing these exercises around other people, especially other women. It makes us feel more comfortable and less objectified. And this is, again, people work out beyond the gym, but this is a good reflection of our attitudes and feelings and our comfortability with exercise, especially in public in general. And considering the history, if you even think about just a few years ago, or 100 years ago, 1920s, and 100 years ago, there was no place for women to work out. And it wasn't until like 50 years ago, at least in the States, that the first exclusively female gym was open. So it makes sense, considering that we would feel so uncomfortable, because this space has been dominated by men, like so many other things in history. Boo. Okay. Boo patriarchy, boo sexism. And for women, considering when it was introduced, of course, bodybuilding and men, there's an emphasis on looks, but it's more of like a empowerment, less shame. It's like, you can be strong and you look so much better. You look great when you're not strong, but you can look even better when you are strong. And for women, it's like, you have to look this way, and if you don't, like, you're fucked. It's kind of the opposite. It's like a negative for women. Neutral is bad for women. Neutral is good for guys. Anything extra, wow, bravo. Neutral is bad for women. And if you're anything less than quote unquote neutral, then, we don't want to even look at you. And you have to try so hard to be above neutral. That's the standards, honestly. And when it was introduced, you think thigh mass or jazzercise, the focus was on toning, on being small and having as much little fat mass as possible. And around the 1920s, when women did start doing more public exercising, that's also the time when diets, as we know it, became a little bit more popular. Caloric restriction came up around that time, the early 1900s, if we're considering history. Standardized clothing, where clothes started to be made in factories, where there was, standard sizes where you could compare your size with someone else's size. All of that came up around the same time. So this is no coincidence. This is no surprise that if we feel less or if we feel intimidated, it's just, yeah, of course we would. So take some comfort in that. Take some deep breath, knowing that that's the case, and let it empower you. And I'm going to give you some tools to empower you. All right. This is good stuff. Good stuff. If you would like a bigger picture framework on all of this, I've shared a little bit in the details, but please go get my Fitness Freedom Masterclass. It gives you the context, and it gives you the way out of it, and it will empower you. It will blow your mind a little bit. It will give you some questions. So if you're brave enough to check that out, go get my Fitness Freedom Masterclass. Watch it within minutes, okay? You can watch it right after you listen to this. Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips. And I want to say, first of all, I don't like this idea of course, we want to support each other. And I am a woman. I identify as a woman. Was born as a woman. And of course I want to support you, other women out there, but I also don't want to buy too much or dive too much into the idea that it's completely on us to make changes, because it's not. Like I said before, it's on the perpetrators, the people who are perpetuating these systems, to change the system. It is their responsibility, truly. And of course, that doesn't always work out that way. But who wants to give up their false sense of power, right? But if you are someone who identifies as male, or you've grown up as a biological male, you know, this is on you most of all, really. So when you do go to the gym, like, not objectifying women, just don't do it. That's a safe space for them to work out as much as it is for you. And being respectful of other people's bodies and spaces. Just because someone is wearing something doesn't mean that they're inviting you to anything. Or just because someone is doing an exercise that is different from yours doesn't mean it's an invitation for you to correct them. Just because, someone is in a specific position is not an invitation for you to stare at them. And it starts with you, really. Like, you're the one who needs to, if women are the one predominantly feeling intimidated and uncomfortable, who's likely the ones who are doing it? So come on, guys, let's go. Make safe spaces. Do your own work in undoing, those toxic beliefs that are also harming you. And that's really the crux of change. All right, there's my little sermon. I feel really good saying out loud. Go do that for yourself. Go write a letter to guys in gyms. If that felt really good to say. Okay, so so for everyone, specifically those who feel intimidated by gyms, and that's not just women, of course, but specifically for those who feel intimidated or have some mixed feelings about gym. Maybe you do have a gym membership, but you're not using it. You're one of those 2 out of 3. Or maybe you do go to the gym and you love it and you just want a little bit more support, a little bit more food. You can nibble a little bit more than what you got. Okay, so first of all, I want to make it clear. You don't need to go to the gym. Hey, you don't need to go to the gym, and you don't need to go to a class to be healthy in your workout routine and your movement practice. Just right off the bat, you don't need to. If you want to, great, do it, and I'll give you some tips for that. But just as foundation, disclaimer, you don't need to go to the gym. And a large part of that has been that we've outsourced so much of our bodies and instruction. Of course, we want to get help from experts, and they know that, like me, I spend my life learning about the human body and helping people feel safer in their bodies and move and eat in a way that is connective and safe and empowering, blah, blah, blah. And of course, experts are there for a reason. But we really outsource so much of our movement practice and even our eating to other people. And while education is important, for sure, your body, you are your body's authority. You are responsible for your body. And there are so many ways that you can learn more about your body, even just simple things that you can learn about your body and how it works, especially in regards to training and exercise, that empowers you to not need to go to a place in order to have a good movement session or a good workout plan or a good training plan. Of course, this is just me personally, but if you can see, I'm recording this video, and behind me, I have a set of adjustable dumbbells and a few bands. I have my mat and jump rope, and that is all I use, pretty much all I use. Once in a while I'll go to the gym, I'll exercise outside sometimes, do especially cardio, basketball or running or walking. But that's pretty much it. And I'm not saying that I'm the standard for you, but as a personal trainer whose profession it is fitness and all this stuff, who has, I love my body. It's fit, it's healthy. Like, that's all I use, and my body weight. So it's not a requirement. If you want to up your movement practice or you want to get into strength training, it is not required for you to go to the gym. Just making that super clear. Okay, but if you do want to go to the gym and you're like, yeah, okay, Michelle, I get it, but I really want to go to the gym. Like, I want to do this. This is important to me. Cool. Okay, I would encourage you to next go to places that feel affirming and welcoming. And depending on where you live and your access to resources, your time availability, I know there are restraints to this, so I want to consider that. But as much as possible, do a little tour. Usually gyms will give you like one free visit in the area, and you could take some time, like maybe dedicate a month, depending on how many gyms you got to visit, maybe dedicate a month going to the gym at the time that you would normally go to it, like realistically according to your schedule, so you can see what the vibe would be. You trust your energy read on things, like check in with how you feel when you're there. You don't even have to do like a hard workout or anything, but just kind of like maybe walk on the machines, or walk on the, yeah, walk on the machines, work through the machines, maybe talk with the owner or other members there, or chat with a personal trainer there, and just get a feel for it. Like if you're going to be going there once a week or a few times a week, that's going to be a pretty frequented place for you, and it's worth going to a place that feels good for you. So go to a place that feels affirming and welcoming. Take your time to do that. Maybe even it's just a person there that makes you feel comfortable, because I know gyms are predominantly male in the terms of who is leading it and who is owning it, and there is a lot of like toxic fitness culture in places. And it's worth going to a place that is not only good for your physical health, but is good for your mental and emotional health, a place that feels safe. And if you can't find that, you have to consider, is it worth, pros and cons? Is it worth going here if my physical health might be helped a little bit, but my mental health will be suffering? And that's a question only you can answer, but it's something to take into account. And then if you do find a place that you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go to this place, when you go, embody, maybe even come up with a character in your brain before you go, or listen to a song on the way that embodies the character traits that you want to have in the gym. Like it could be a sense of a future self, or it could be maybe even someone that you admire that you can kind of channel. But whatever it is, let it be a powerful badass and take up space. Like you could even pretend like you're one of those like big bodybuilder Russian dudes that I saw at the gym, but just like walking around, your shoulders move from side to side with each step because you're so big, and your head moves from side to side as you're walking, and you got a protein shake in one hand, and you're fist bumping other dudes with the other one, and you like, what you're doing, and you're like, you got your towel around your neck and you own the place. Like, take up that much space, like channel that energy if you need to, or maybe it's something else for you. But like, know that you belong there and you deserve to take up as much space as anyone else. Okay. And another thing, this is a practical one, wear comfortable clothes for you. So don't dress to impress. Don't dress to impress anyone else. This is your space. You want to feel comfortable. That might be wearing tight clothing for you. It might be wearing looser clothing. Maybe it's wearing sweatpants or sweat clothes. You don't need to fit into any costume, even if everyone else is wearing a crop top and tights. Like, do you and feel comfortable. Again, channel that big dude energy. Just do you and feel good, because when you feel comfortable in your clothes, you're going to move differently. And if you are feeling like not wanting to be exposed, wear loose clothing. Do what feels good for you. Just whatever feels good. And again, you can experiment with that and find outfits that feel good. Like go shopping for some new gym outfits. It can be fun. And then another practical tip, you don't need to go to the gym at all in the first place, but if you do, go to a place that's affirming and welcoming. That's number 2. Number 3, take up space, channel the energy. Number 4, wear comfortable clothes. Number 5, get a personal trainer for a few sessions. And like while you're checking out gyms, like look around, like is there a personal trainer here that I would like to work with that looks cool? Or chat with them. They'll be open. They get commission for how many people they help. Like it's advantageous for them to work with people, but you are the customer. So pick someone that feels right for you, because especially if you are new or you are feeling intimidated, just getting a rundown of the machines, booking a few sessions with that personal trainer, getting a rundown of the machines and feeling more comfortable, maybe even getting a plan, a basic plan from that personal trainer around what you can do, at least to start with. And then you could always, book that trainer for extra few sessions when you need it. So getting a personal trainer goes a long way. If you think about it, if you're planning to live, longer than you are alive right now, you're going to be exercising ideally, pretty regularly for the rest of your life. And if that's the case, it's worth getting to know your body and how it works, if that's something. And along this line, a little bit of a sub note, I know the gym can be intimidating. I know all those machines can be intimidating, and it feels like this is the right way. Because this machine exists, I should do it. But really, the human body, as your trainer, as your coach here, the human body has 7 basic movement patterns. And especially in terms of strength training, we can narrow it down to 6. And it really comes down to push, pull, those are mostly upper body, squat, lunge, hinge, and twist. So push, you think chest presses, even like shoulder presses. Just anything where you're pushing away from your body. Pull, opposite. You're pulling towards your body. You think rows, you think pull downs, opposite. Pull downs are the opposite of shoulder presses, different muscle groups. And then you got squats. You know what a squat is? Getting balanced in your body is super important for these movements, all of them. So keep your mobility up as well. Squats, you got lunges, which is basically like a split squat. Hinges, think, you're moving forward at your hips, so that could be bridges, that could be deadlifts, and twists, rotational movements, anything that involves rotation, usually at your core. And we also have gait, which is another basic human movement, walking, running, okay? So I know that sounds like, oh yeah, Michelle, you're making it sound so simple, but what do? You can start with 12 to 20 reps of big movement muscle groups, like do 12 to 20 reps of chest presses, do 12 to 20 reps of rows, 12 to 20 squats, 12 to 20 hinges, and then you can do that 1 to 3 times. And that's a great workout. That's a great total body workout, especially if you're mostly working for maintenance or for health or for longevity. You don't have to complicate it. And if you would like to book a coaching session with me and go into movement, we can do that. So that's an option. Just book a coaching session on my website under services, work with me. We can use that hour however you would like for your movement. So go ahead and do that. I'd be happy to help you. But the vibe in so many gyms and around fitness is one of intimidation. We know the right way. You don't. We're big, you're small, and that does not need to be the case. So I just want to give you this assurance, this encouragement to not go to the gym if you don't want to, and if you do, to take up space and go to choose places that feel good for you, and move or wear clothing that feels good for you. Get educated, and what I believe is the best way to start moving, especially if you have had a tumultuous relationship with movement. Maybe it's a love-hate thing where you love it because it makes you feel good about yourself, but you hate it because you don't really always want to do it. You feel like you have to do it. And maybe you even overtrain. Maybe it's hard for you to take rest days. You might relate to that. Or maybe you have a love-hate relationship in that you feel like you should be doing it a lot more, but you're not sure what to do. And you get racked with guilt for not moving more. You feel pretty inactive, and you would feel better. And maybe you can think of a time in your life when you were more active, and you look at it longingly, wistfully. And maybe you're in the camp too of like, you've never really been consistent with movement and you really don't know what to do. For all of you, everyone, the best place to start is with connecting with your body first. When we Yeah, when we do movement, we usually think, okay, what do I need to do? And that can be super helpful, but it can be more empowering to start connecting with your body first and creating your own movement practice and creating a container, i.e., a habit where daily you practice movement. And then as you learn more and as you develop more skills, as you practice more, you can fill that container with different things. But starting with your body, starting with connecting with yourself, starting with movement. When we were babies, we intuitively moved. We walked around, we crawled, we, bounced around and threw things, whatever babies do. Babies are so cute. Like we know how our bodies know how to move intuitively, but we've lost so much connection with it because of all the noise, because of all the pressure, because of all this like appearance stuff, because of all this gym stuff, really. It's a part of the problem. It both perpetuates and stops the problem depending on who you're going to and what kind of attitude they have. But you are your body's authority. Like it comes from you. Movement comes from you. You are the one moving. It's not something outside of you that needs to be enforced or pressured onto you. It's something that is inherent to who you are as a physical human being. And when you can tap into your body and connect with your body, with you first, you can channel movement. And I know it's scary. It's like going into unknown waters, especially if you're used to someone always telling you what to do. But if you can start with yourself and channel that, ooh, your whole movement practice will change. The way you relate to exercise and working out will completely change no matter what camp you are in, whether you tend to overtrain or undertrain, or you're somewhere like you're just getting started. So if you would like to do that, I'm going to put in the show notes, get my free guide, How to Enjoy Exercise, because that is foundational. Get my free guide, How to Enjoy Exercise. And if you really want to put this into practice and work with me, one-on-one and with other heroes, join the 4-H method. We start with you. We start with connecting with yourself first. And the next thing that we focus on is movement. And it's really fun. And it's connecting with movement in a way you never have before and getting different results than you ever have before. It's a really loving, empowering, and science-backed way of being in movement, and it is so much fun. So I make those two invitations for you, and let me know your thoughts on this. Maybe if you would like to share your personal experience, your version of going into a Thai gym and seeing a bunch of Russian bodybuilders, please let me know in the comments. You can message me, email me. I'd love to hear from you, and go have fun.